Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Let's Get Tender, Money Conversations That Matter. I'm your host, Marlene Elizabeth. Are you a spirited entrepreneur, an innovator, a visionary, or a thought leader who feels stuck in your relationship to money? If so, you're in the right place. I empower women to transform their financial challenges into opportunities so they can thrive by teaching them how to see money differently. Why? Well, it's like the saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The same is true for wealth. I help women see money differently because wealth is in the eye of the beholder. Each week, you'll hear a variety of inspiring perspectives, experiences, and women's money stories to help you lean into talking, learning, and growing in your relationship to money, one brave feather at a time. The best part is that along the way, your own truth about money will begin to unfold, and truth sets us free. Today's inspiring guest is a strong leader who joins me as a former contestant from the hit reality TV series Survivor. She's a speaker and an author as well. In our Tender Money conversation, you'll hear her personal lessons that she's learned about wants versus needs, patience, trust, and her secrets to thriving in business and life.
Welcome to Let's Get Tender, Money Conversations That Matter, a video podcast series with certified money coach Marlene Elizabeth, with amazing weekly guests who share their inner challenges, personal triumphs, and inside tips and strategies so you can prosper, lead, and love bravely in business and life. So get comfy and get ready to grow money wings.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Marlene Elizabeth, founder and author of Money Wings. I'm a certified money coach and a mompreneur. And I'm super excited to have a money conversation today with Sunday Burquest. Yay! Thank you so much, Sunday, for taking time out of your day to be here with me today.
I am thrilled to be here with you. I've been waiting for it, the last few days, just excited. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, before we dive in, I want to share with everyone a little bit about your amazing story. Just amazing. So in April of 2012, Sunday was diagnosed with breast cancer. And this woman is a tenacious woman. So her determination to win this battle kept her from allowing cancer to have the upper hand. And 1 year later, she was given a clean bill of health. 4 years after becoming a breast cancer survivor, Sunday was cast on the Emmy Award-winning reality TV show Survivor, Millennials versus Gen X in 2016. So, through some of life's most challenging times, Sunday has not only survived, but she's thrived. And her secret is that she's discovered her inner strength, and she calls this her grit. So today she's very, very passionate about helping other women do the same. She has 25 years of extensive ministry experience. And through that experience and her events, her speaking engagements on social media, and even her own book, she's written her own book, Grit Girl, Power to Survive, Inspired by Grace. And these are all ways that Sunday is out there sharing this very powerful, powerful message about getting in touch with our own inner strength. And so welcome again, Sunday.
Thank you. I can't believe, are you talking about me? Sometimes I hear all that and I go, who is that girl? It is me, actually.
Well, I wanted to get started with, having this opportunity to talk about money. It actually takes courage. It takes that grit. It takes a little bit of diving into our inner strength to be able to actually face this sometimes intimidating topic. And so I applaud that you said yes to me when I invited you to come on and share a little bit about your life story in the perspective of your money journey and your money story. And one of the questions I really love to ask my guests is, what was your earliest memory of money that you can remember?
The first thing I think of when you ask my earliest memory is I remember when I was in elementary school, probably early, maybe first, second, third grade, and I needed to raise money for Awana. I wanted to go to Awana camp or something. It was a church group for kids. And I was selling candy bars door to door, and I came up short on my money, and I was so frustrated, scared. What am I going to do? I didn't want to tell my parents. And I finally told them, only to discover my brothers were stealing the money out of my candy bar box.
Oh.
So I think right then I started a little fear of hanging on to money and where's my money going. And they swore up and down they didn't steal it. And then we found, 50 candy wrappers behind their beds and the missing money. Yeah, that's my earliest recollection of money, or me handling it anyways.
And it's not something that we, usually think about, before becoming, a certified money coach myself and starting my own journey in diving into this very, kind of pioneer territory. I never really thought about it, but once you do take the time to consider what's that earliest memory, and begin to kind of notice how sometimes it can really shape and impact your life going forward, and you're not even aware of it until you kind of go back and see. And so, I'd really be interested in learning a little bit more about, have you found that you have a self-limiting money belief that has impacted you in your life? Maybe kind of a belief that, maybe it's not safe to thrive because someone may take it from me, or whatever. There's so many different kinds of limiting beliefs, but it'd be really, I know, helpful to hear that.
Yeah. Well, I will say for me, it was tough growing up in my home. I won't say, there's a lot of people that had it a lot worse than we did, but I was the girl who went to a movie with her boyfriend in 8th grade, and my dad picked us up in a rusty yellow station wagon. We never had, nice cars. We had food and all of that. But anytime I wanted something, I learned early on, I needed to raise the money to get it. So when I wanted designer jeans as a teenager, I needed to babysit and do jobs to get the money. So I think how it's kind of shaped me is this fear, I don't know if it's a fear, but when am I ever going to not have to work so hard to get every single thing I want? And then that leads to a discussion about wants and needs and what I'm really using those things for emotionally. But there's always kind of this thing that, and it's, it's something my husband and I really had to talk about, where if I want something, I think I have to figure out how to get the money by myself. And his approach is, no, we're married, we're a team, we work on this together. But because I always felt like I had to earn my own money to get what I wanted, that carries over even when I don't realize it.
Mm-hmm. That is a great example. How it is something that we struggle with. And then, of course, it impacts our loved ones, whether it's a spouse or children or colleagues or friends and that kind of thing. Right. So, and that's one of the things I find so powerful about having a money conversation, because whenever we do that, we find that we're talking about things that are beyond even just money.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of behaviors or beliefs or patterns that impact us in our relationship to money, but also in other areas. So I love that you say that your husband, you both try to work out and see how you can overcome this. And so what would you say would be one kind of brave step that you have taken or that you could take to overcome that fear of, kind of allowing someone in that way?
Well, two things. I started a business with my sister and my sister-in-law, and we repurposed furniture and did occasional sales in that. And just the thought of starting a business to me was so scary. But even though I did it, I relegated all the money to my sister-in-law because I was too scared to deal with it, right? Then now that I'm out on my own speaking and have the book and a ministry, I'm having to, it's like starting another business myself, but now it's me. So it's like, wow, I really have to not use the excuse that I'm not good at it, that I don't know how to do it, and just do it and just face it like I do other things. You know what? The way I look at it is like, money, you don't scare me. You're not scaring me, and you're not going to hold me back from doing what I believe I'm supposed to do just because I'm afraid of this one aspect of it.
I hear you on that, Sunday. In fact, my new book, Money Wings, it was just released on my daughter's birthday on July 18th. And I talk about that it, for the longest time, I had no problem just kind of literally just kind of surviving along until she was born. And then that was when I found my grit and my courage to face money head on and say, okay, that's it. And basically facing my fears is really what it is. Facing my fears, and whatever they are, our fears are as unique as we are as individuals. And so it all counts. I mean, it's all our truth. And so that is very brave to face your fears head on. And I love too, you're a fellow mompreneur, right?
Yes.
You have four children, four beautiful children. And so with you now stepping into being your own brand, really, right? As Grit Girl. So what have you, what is a new money belief that you have that helps to empower you now going forward, with your business?
Well, a couple of things I'll say to that. First, taking the step to step out on my own did reduce our income. And so that was a big step. Like, okay, if we're going to do this, it's going to change things. So one thing I learned is I can survive off a lot less than I thought because I'm taking the time to plan it out and not being afraid of it. Like, my natural tendency is just not look and hope it's all okay. Which is very dangerous when it comes to money. So I learned that, what I want and what I need are two different things. And we can survive and make it until, a business grows. It takes time. Secondly, just learning that I have to keep God at the center and in the first place of my finances. For me personally, I noticed that if I skip a week of tithing for some reason, or just I can tell. And for me, it isn't like a God's mad at me or not mad at me thing. It's that I truly believe he can do more with my 90% than I can do with my 100%. And so just learning to trust him and continually putting him first in that area, I think is huge for me.
That is. Well, you've said a couple of things that are so powerful. One, planning and money, and how those two are so important together. So, and again, it's one of those things, if we're not a planner in our money, maybe there's probably other areas in our life that we're not a planner, and we're feeling the ramifications, the consequences of that aren't necessarily helpful for us. So to learn to be able to plan, that's huge. That's, and even as a business person, right? Mm-hmm. Shifting out of a 9-to-5 type of job where sometimes things are already planned for us and we just step in and do the job is very different than being in business for ourselves. And suddenly we have to do all the planning, right? Or, have maybe a project manager to help us, but we're still leading it and guiding it. Yes. But, the other piece too that you share is so powerful. And that is where your faith comes in for you, and how that really helps you to, and this is a big word I use all the time when it comes to money, is being in alignment with what you believe and with who you are, who you truly are. Being in alignment with your gifts and talents. I mean, this is also so key when it comes to money conversations. And like you said it, when we're not in alignment, we feel it. We feel it pretty quick. Or maybe not. Maybe sometimes it takes a little while and suddenly we say, wait, how did I get this far off? What happened? So you seem to have, in your journey, you're real sensitive to when you're not in alignment anymore, to how you feel God wants you to manage your money and even what God can do with it, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think I always go back to, when I think, oh, I need money for this or that, and I feel like I don't have what I need, I have to go back to that trust factor. I've decided that faith is where, I align myself and I put my trust in God, and I really do believe he set me on this path. So in that trust, I have to go back to, hey, this was your idea, not mine. So as long as I do my best to put you first, I need to trust you. But at that same time, that doesn't mean I don't do anything. That doesn't mean I trust you and I don't look at my checkbook. I trust you and I don't pay my bills. No, it's working together, I think, is what's key. Is I'm doing my part, that I need to do as far as being responsible, and then I trust him for the parts that I can't control.
Absolutely. Yep. That's so key. Taking responsibility, right? And it's a co-creation. It's co-creating. Yeah. Beautiful. Very well said. So have you found that you've learned some business, or even one lesson from business, that has helped you, in terms of something you can apply to your relationship with money?
Absolutely. I've learned patience, and I will say this: I am not a patient person. And when you're not a patient person, that affects everything. You're not patient with money. You're not patient with anything. So I've made a couple of poor choices, not waiting for taking the time to really investigate where I was putting the money for something. And I've learned that it takes patience to watch money accumulate for what you need. It's kind of like that losing weight thing. You want to lose weight and it doesn't come off fast, and you have to remember that it didn't get on fast. So it's kind of the same thing with finances. It's like I'm not going to magically have a huge savings account. It's week by week, little by little, being consistent and just being patient and letting the system work. So for me, patience is huge, and it's something I'm trying to apply in every area of my life, because I'm not a patient person.
Huge. Yes. Patience is huge, 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 huge. And that, powerful. And you mentioned earlier something too, about trust. And that's a biggie, I think, for all of us. I think all of us, in one way, shape, or another, have to kind of come face to face with, where are we on that trust level, and like for me, I know being able to, with my business, one of the lessons that I find I bring forward into my relationship with money is, being able to let people support me, being able to let people be part of my team, and not try to do everything myself. That's always been something I've done and struggled with, but until I started a business, it's not possible. You simply just cannot be successful and achieve the big dreams you want to achieve by yourself. And so, I find that being able to allow others to support me is how I know that I've brought that lesson forward with my relationship to money. And it's powerful, like what you said, with patience. That is huge, huge. Yeah. It takes time for a business to grow, and it takes time to see that money grow. And that sense of delayed gratification too, that we see something and okay, so what would you say then, Sunday, if you were able to, now that these, these things now about money, what would you say that you wish you would have known when you first started in business, or even when you first started your family or your career? What do you wish you would have known then that you now know?
There's a few different things. I'll say one thing I distinctly remember when my first son was born. I just really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I remember my husband and I, we'd been married like 2 years, so we're still learning how to navigate money and budgeting and all of that. And at the time, I was getting my nails done every week or every other week, acrylic nails back in the day. We all, did that. And I remember one day my husband saying to me, "You can get your nails done, or you can buy clothes for the baby." And it was a realization to me, the difference between the wants and needs that I had, and maybe some unrealistic expectations. I feel like a lot of times younger people tend to think they're going to live at the level that their parents live 50 years into their marriage or 40 years into it. And so I wish that I would have just, instead of being worried about how quickly we could get more money, just realize money wasn't what's buying me happiness, right? Money is good and it's helpful for what we want and what we need. But if I could just say to myself, just chill out, the money will come. You guys are working hard. You're trusting the Lord, but money isn't going to fix anything, and it's not what's going to actually make you happy. And I actually know people with a lot of money that are miserable. So I think for me, keeping money in the right perspective in my life and in my heart is key. And I learned it, but I wished maybe I would have had a better revelation of that when I first started out as a young mom in a young family.
Beautiful. And Sunday, isn't it so true? Because I can relate. I mean, isn't it so true how helpful it is when you have people to talk about it with, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's your spouse or a community of people that may be a book club that's, reading about money and learning about it, or a women's group or a ministry group, or, just being able to have that safe place to talk about it, because it's not always easy to bring up the conversation. It triggers a lot of emotions. It can trigger shame, all these kinds of things. But instead, being able to have a supportive environment that helps us to have the conversation, and because there's a lot to it for sure. So beautiful. Well, Sunday, I really enjoyed being able to talk with you, and I could keep talking with you about this.
I know. I feel like we're at coffee. It's been
Yeah. So how can people find you if they'd like to continue a conversation with you? Where could people find you?
Well, they can go to my website, which is iamgritgirl.com. Have my book there. They want to check that out on the website. I'm on social media as Grit Girl or Survivor Sunday. And but really my website will give you all the social media links, and I would love to connect there. iamgritgirl.com.
Yay! And you'll see a great picture of her too from the show. That's great. Thank you so much, Sunday. It was a pleasure to talk and learn and grow in my relationship to money with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. I love to be in here.
One of the easiest ways that you can take charge of your relationship to money is to embrace love as a compass for your financial life. With this mighty compass in hand and heart, your financial journey and decisions become clearer. Remember, love means engaging in your own generous financial self-care just as much as it means sharing your wealth with others. Another way to take charge of your relationship to money is simply to check in with yourself and define what wealth really means to you. This is so important because we often carry deeply held beliefs that reflect our parents' values around money from the earliest years of our life, instead of our own values around money. So this mindful exercise of clearly defining what wealth means to you, it really enables you to stay connected to your own values rather than unknowingly and subconsciously following someone else's viewpoint about money, right? And that can often lead us to potentially, stray away from our own financial dreams. So, as a mompreneur, it took me half of my life to become aware of what stood in my way of achieving my financial dream, to grow freedom, to thrive for my daughter's sake. And it was this. So there was a time when I truly believed that it's not possible to be spiritual and wealthy. A belief that operated silently in the background of my mind without my knowledge. It was just sort of on autopilot, right? Until I started doing my own money work. And I discovered that I inherited that belief from other people around me and from society. So living with this limiting belief, it really limited my freedom to thrive because it didn't align with my truth. Because you see, I believe that I am spiritual and wealthy. In fact, the more that I live in that truth, the more that I attract exciting opportunities, exciting connections, and resources that empower me to thrive. Wealth is in the eye of the beholder. I recently came across a story that beautifully illustrates this point well. One day, a very wealthy father took his son on a trip to the country for the sole purpose of showing his son how it was to be poor. They spent a few days and nights on the farm of what would be considered a very poor family. Well, after their return from the trip, the father, he asked his son how he liked it, how he liked the visit with this family. "Oh, it was great, Dad," the son replied. "Did you see how poor people can be?" the father asked. "Oh, yeah," said the son. "So what did you learn from the trip?" asked the father. The son answered, "Well, I saw that we have one dog and they have four. We have a pool that reaches to the middle of our garden, and they have a creek that has no end. We have imported lanterns in our garden, and they have the stars at night. Our patio reaches to the front yard, and they have the whole horizon. We have a small piece of land to live on, and they have fields that go beyond our sight. We have servants who serve us, but they serve others. We buy our food, but they grow theirs. We have walls around our property to protect us. They have friends to protect them." The boy's father, he was speechless. He expected his son to see only poverty, but instead, his son saw wealth from a different point of view. And therefore, his father ended up seeing wealth from a different point of view, from the eyes of a child. Wealth is in the eye of the beholder. We all have our own truth when it comes to money and wealth. Standing in our truth is the first step that sets us free to spiritually and financially thrive. It usually takes a process to get there, but courage, patience, faith, along with trustworthy, practical support, these are all key ingredients for the journey. Which one do you need more of today to start growing your money wings this week? The beautiful late Maya Angelou, one of my favorite poets, once wrote that you can only become truly accomplished at something you love. Don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things that you love doing, and then do them so well that people can't take their eyes off of you. You can learn more about discovering wealth in your natural gifts and strengths in Chapter 4 of my brand new inspiring book, Money Wings, Unfolding Your Financial Potential, One Brave Feather at a Time. It's available on Amazon, and it's coming soon to Barnes & Noble bookstores around the country. Thank you so very much for joining me. See you next week on the next episode of Let's Get Tender, Money Conversations That Matter.